It's an important year for athletics, and an important event lies ahead on the calendar. It's the World Athletics Championships in Hungary later this year. South African athletes are hard at work preparing for the global event, looking to make amends for the disappointment of the previous edition in Oregon. One of those athletes that will be looking to put South Africa back on the map is US-based sprinters, Shaun Maswangayi. He is in the country for a brief moment and has allowed us into his pace, his training camp here in Pretoria. Shaun, appreciate your time on Newzroom Afrika. It's good to be home here.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
An important year with an important event. It's the World Championships in Budapest. How are your preparations coming along?
They're going along smoothly. So I'm in the country for a brief period of time, 3 weeks, just to handle some paperwork and documents, just to file everything. So far, Coach Carl is pretty happy with my progress and pretty happy with my collegiate season. It's the best collegiate season I've had since my freshman year, and we're just ready to attack the international scene.
South Africa's performance last year wasn't good in the previous campaign in Oregon. How much is that performance fueling you this time around to be one of the guys that puts up their hand and steps up for South Africa in Budapest?
I feel like the trials and tribulations really make an athlete. So just even coming through from Tokyo is its own challenge for me. I didn't have my coach there for me. 8 weeks I went without training with him, but it's things like that. I had to fight the mental barriers that, sometimes things are not going to go your way. But it allows you to be mentally stronger for the next competition or the next feat you need to come on top of. So, just Oregon, thank God I was already in the US whenever they had the visa tribulations. But, I had my fair share of difficulties with injuries, and I sustained a hamstring injury in the first round. But, I didn't let that get me down, and I wanted to still come back strong.
Yeah. You've had an excitement run, and I mean with qualification as well, putting up a very, very strong time, 9.91, making it the second fastest time in South Africa. How exciting is that, and how much confidence is it bringing for you going into this world stage?
I feel like it's a long time coming, honestly, especially coming in from my freshman year, even just leaving South Africa just during COVID. I had ran 10:06 right here on this home track at Tux. So I knew I was in a good place to qualify for the Olympics, and I knew that, I am a world-class athlete. I believe that from a young age, and just everything coming into part, I knew that this sub-10 performance, in legal conditions, was a long time coming. I remember I posted on Instagram. I said third time's the charm, and third time is the charm. So both 9 and 19, same meet. I think I'm the second guy behind Akani Simbini to do that in a day. Really 30 minutes apart. But it's good to have my name in such company.
This time is closest to, as you mentioned, Akani Simbini's time. He put that time 9.84 in Hungary, same Hungary. I think it was the build-up to the Tokyo Olympic Games. Now that you've run this close time with him, how daring are you to yourself to try and beat this target?
I always say that in competitions that are world-class, you don't really chase time, you chase titles, and the time will come as a reward in its own right, because if you win, you're most likely going to have to run 980 or 979, but if you're aiming for those top podium finishes, definitely the time is going to come with. Same thing in the NCAA. When I came into this final, I didn't chase time. I knew I already ran 999 in my qualifying round, and I knew I already qualified for the World Champs, but I just wanted to go in there with the mentality, okay, make the final, and in the final, it's anyone's ball game. I believe I can win it, and the time came. So it's a result of just focusing on execution and not chasing time per se. Obviously, we all want records, we all want to be remembered in the history books, but it's all about execution at the end of the day. Focus on what I can control, and everything comes to fruition.
Another event on the calendar that's very important for every single athlete are the Olympic Games. Previous ones for you, semi-final finishes, but of course that little disappointment in the relays. Going back to that space for you, I think it's one that you'd like to go back to, one, but also feeling like there's still unfinished business for you in that space.
Oh, definitely. There's a lot of conversations around the relay and whose fault it was and so forth and so forth. But at the end of the day, it all led down to poor preparation. Even from the coaching standpoint, we weren't adequately prepared. When I was reaching out and so forth to the right people, I'm like, can we practice? And when we did practice, we practiced, but then the guy was practicing with, for example, sustained an injury. But we never had enough practice for us to leverage and say, okay, let's play around, let's see who can do that. Because when you're in competition, it's anyone's game. And it was tough in that aspect. But I ran a lot of relays in college. I know how to handle my pressure. I know how to handle my business, and I feel like I definitely need to do what I need to do again, so I can get the people to respect the grind. And it's not easy to step on the track, and there's 50,000 people in the stands, and it's no easy feat. But I do that, and I feel like I've been able to perform in global championships. So I just want another opportunity to prove myself, because like I say, I run for a purpose bigger than myself.
What are your biggest targets for these 2 years? Most importantly, these 2 upcoming major events.
I strive to be a world champion. I strive to be an Olympic medalist, Olympic gold medalist. I aspire for all these records. So in the sense that everything is a building block. So me and my coach know that, okay, if you want to be a world championship gold medalist contender, you need to be in 9/8 low shape. So the next couple of weeks, I know the workouts are going to be a lot harsher, a lot tougher, just to sharpen me up for these competitions, because at the end of the day, my coach knows my aspirations and he knows I want to win. When I step on the line, I don't think about third place, second place. Man, I'm going for number 1. I don't care who's on the line. So that's the mentality, and I want these records. I want that SA record. Akani knows, So I'm like, Akani's my guy. I'm like, hey, AK, hey, that 9/8 is deep, but I also want it. So he knows, we have a little camaraderie around that. But even the 200 record, I know that every day I step on that track, it's one step closer to these records, and I want to be successful. I want to be remembered as one of the greats.
I was just about to go into that, to say the road to becoming South Africa's greatest ever sprinter is on. Yeah,
that's the plan. That's the plan. That's the plan. I put it into existence. I always want to put it into existence. So when it comes to fruition, it's no stranger.
Yeah. Shaun, appreciate your time, man.
Thank you very much.
Wishing you all the best for the year, for these 2 majors that are also coming up now.
Thank you.
He's already qualified for the world champs in both the 100 meters and the 200 meters. He'll be one of those athletes that are going to be going out there to make sure that the South African anthem gets to be played at least a countless times. For Newzroom Afrika on channel 405, I'm Vuyo Macoba, having just invaded Shaun Maswangayi's training camp here in Pretoria.